Welcome to the finish line with Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I'd like to get my spring wall hanging done. Now, normally when we look at a project like this, we do think about quilting around all of those shapes and then filling in the blanks. And that is a beautiful look. However, it does take a little bit more time than I want to spend today. So I'm going to do clamshells, starting from the bottom and going all the way up. Now, there are a few ways we can do clamshells, and there's a few things to know about clamshells. So today I'll show you how to do clamshells with a ruler that's designed to do a clamshell and a round ruler. And we'll talk about the sizing of clamshells. A clamshell are half little circles. So we have a circle, and these are going to go like that. And the next row goes in between. So this point now comes up here, and we fill in the blanks. So we're going to have every other row the same. Traditionally, every row is considered a row, but in a clamshell, it is not. We need 2 of these half circles to make a full clamshell. A full clamshell is this shape right here. So that shape can only be made with a bottom row and a top row. So if we're looking here, this clamshell needed this row and this row. The clamshell measurement is from here to here. It's not this measurement. It is that full measurement from that point all the way up to the top. Now this is considered a single row of clamshells, and that's the one I'm going to work on today. The clamshell that I want to do is a 3-inch clamshell. So from here to here will be 3 inches. So I'm going to be able to draw 3-inch rows. So I will have each row spaced at 3 inches. Between each of these rows, I'm going to have 2 of those little loops, but that is considered the one row. And as we start quilting this, this will start to make sense and all come together. I do want to leave a 1/4 inch seam allowance to start with. That 1/4 inch is going to be in that binding. The next row will be 3 inches. And I happen to have a 3-inch ruler, so that's going to make it really easy. The next row will be 3 inches, and so on. So we will end up with 2 clamshells in this space. I'm going to draw a second line right through the center, so you're going to be able to see the difference. So I'm going to do 1.5 inches. And you can definitely put this extra measurement in throughout. So I'll just do a bit of a broken line just so that we can see the difference. So to make a clamshell using a circle, if I want a 3-inch clamshell, I'm going to need a 2.5-inch circle. The reason is I'm going to have that 1/4 inch all the way around because I will be using ruler work, and that foot does give me that extra 1/4 inch. I also need to have a circle with a line down the center. Those halfway marks are going to be placement lines. And I'm going to put that halfway mark on my first starting line. So I have that halfway mark sitting on that first line, and that is my 1/4 inch seam allowance. When this foot goes around, it's going to make that extra 1/4 inch. So we are going to be stopping a 1/4 inch from that ruler. We will leave the foot and the needle down in the material, and then we're going to move that ruler, and we're going to move it right back on that center line. So this will still be here and down. We will then be able to stitch around, and that's how we're going to do the first row. I now will be able to take that circle use those half lines, and that circle is going to go right against that foot. And I'm going to be able to stitch and stop right on that line. And move that ruler over. And I'm going to stitch all the way around, stopping right here on that seam. So I'm going to be able to just continue to move this over and stitch. So that's that first row of half circles. To make a full clamshell, we need this point coming up. So your circle is going to come 1/4 inch off of that bottom, and you'll be able to see that broken line will now go in the middle of the circle. So that shape with that point is that full clamshell. So as I'm stitching, I know I'm going to stop on that top. Move that ruler over. And if you're using a circle, that extra line in the center definitely is helpful. And stitch. Now I get to move over. So I'm going to finish that row. So you can see where we have that full clamshell, and they were made with circles. You can also get clamshell rulers that are made for machine quilting. This particular one is from Quilter Select, and it has 2 measurements on it. We have a 3-inch large clamshell and an 1.5 inch small clamshell. And those markings will show us that clamshell shape. But from this point up past that 1/4 inch will be that 3 inches. So because this has been designed for clamshells, these markings are definitely going to make it easy for us. Where we have that V coming in, it will fit right there. So my last row helps me set up my next row. So I have those stitching lines that are going to fit right over top. As I'm stitching around, I still have that 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I now will hit this seam. This is an easy ruler to hold, and I'm just going to stitch around. And when I get to the end, I'm just going to pick up that ruler and move it over. And I'm going to continue that next row. And in this case, I'm going to be able to stitch right off. And then I can continue that next row. So I'm going to stitch this entire thing with a 3-inch clamshell. I did mark with a marker that is going to fade, so I'm going to be able to trim this and get the binding done. I'm really happy the way this 3-inch clamshell did finish off this quilt. We could have gone really tiny and it would have looked really cute and petite, but that 3-inch meant the quilting went together a lot quicker, and I'm just ready for the binding. I hope that solves some of the mysteries of clamshells, and I do hope you give it a try. It is a lot of fun to quilt. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I have a newsletter. It's all free under Sew Very Easy. Thanks again for joining me today. Bye for now.